This weekend, Friday, November 21st through Sunday, November 23rd, we have the sun moving out of powerful Scorpio and into adventurous, optimistic Sagittarius. The sun moves into Sag on Friday night, Eastern Time, but there's still a lot of Scorpio energy, a lot of water sign stuff going on in general this weekend. That's because we're still under the light, or maybe I should say the darkness of the Scorpio new moon, which was conjunct Mercury retrograde that occurred last week. And we're still working with these grand water trine waves between Saturn, Jupiter, and Scorpio planets through mid-December. So, despite the fact that the sun has moved into Sagittarius, and despite the fact that it's forming a powerful and new sextile to Pluto in Aquarius, it's another very watery weekend. I'm excited to talk about it all with you today. Let's go ahead and jump in. The first thing that I want to say is that we are still under the lunation of that Scorpio new moon. There's really no way for me to put it on the chart here, but when the sun and the moon were together here at the later degrees of Scorpio, maybe what I can do is just kind of highlight that degree point. I know how I can mark it on the chart. I can do it. Sometimes I like to sort of do my best to show what I'm talking about on this chart. If you are learning astrology, my hope is that it's helpful to you. And if you just enjoy listening to the astrology and that works better for you, then my hope is that this report works for you as well. That's always my intention, for this to be something that works for everyone. Okay. Let me just fix that last one. There we go. Okay, now I'll show you what I was doing there. So we had a Scorpio new moon at the very late degree, the last 2 degrees, I believe it was 28 degrees and something minutes of Scorpio just a couple of days ago. So I've marked that point in the chart. The moon was there then and the sun was there then. And Mercury retrograde was conjunct the sun and the moon at that time as well. It was really quite a conjunction because it was incredibly exact. So it's quite common for, a lunation to involve a transit with another planet, with a personal planet, especially. Mercury tends to stick pretty close to the sun. So Mercury being involved in some way with a lunation, with a new moon isn't surprising. But this was really incredibly exact. And I think with it happening at the later degrees, it felt sort of especially interesting as well. And we are also in this grand water trine thing. So there's really is just still so much of this water energy available. But let's just talk about this new moon for a second. I think that this felt quite powerful last week. And that's not a bad place to start when talking about a Scorpio new moon. We're under the influence of this for the next week and a half still, by the way, and ripple effects beyond that, of course. But this is the last lunation that occurred. Some sort of deep and powerful uncovering in some way, something coming to the surface. We can sort of listen very deeply during a Scorpio new moon. It's the darkest night of Scorpio season, which is a very dark time of year. And then it has sort of the transformative nature, the intensity of the signature of Scorpio. Scorpio season is experienced as intense by a lot of people, not by everyone. It depends on your chart, but Scorpio in and of itself sort of is intense. This is a sign that is up for transformation and growth, even if it's difficult, right? It embraces that process. And this is a time when we might all be going through a bit of that ourselves, being open to transforming, to growing, to seeing things, especially during the new moon, especially with Mercury retrograde right here, seeing things or learning things or understanding things that we hadn't understood before. And I think a lot of what was coming to the surface last week involved things from the past. Because right across the way, whenever we're at the late degrees of Scorpio right now, we're also interacting with this Uranus, which is back in Taurus at 29 degrees of Taurus, right across the way, forming an opposition. So Uranus is adding this little surprise, something sudden, something sort of maybe a little bit shocking. I always think that's a tough word, but also it's good to remember that sometimes good things can shock us too and surprise us too. But I think it's more about the suddenness. It's not about the size of whatever it is, but there's just an unpredictable quality to Uranus. But I think maybe also what we were doing last week was applying like the innovative qualities of Uranus to whatever it was we were uncovering or working with. Uranus has been in Taurus for a long time. We had a few months with Uranus and Gemini, and now Uranus is back in Taurus again for a few final months. And we're actually kind of used to this energy. As disturbing as it is, in a way, as challenging as Uranus in Taurus has been and can be, we're used to that feeling because we've been working with it for quite a while. So I think that there's a way, first of all, there's a way in which with all that retrograde energy and things at 29 degrees and everything, just working with something from the past themes, right? But maybe applying some sort of innovation because of that. Where, the 29th degree, I think of it more as that mastery degree than a difficult degree. I think it's gotten more of a modern reputation as a difficult degree. What I think makes more sense astrologically and what I see play out more is the idea that it's sort of a mastery degree. And that there's something sort of unavoidable about it. You're not going to ignore a planet that you have at 29 degrees in your natal chart, right? If you have a planet at 29 degrees in your natal chart, you're doing that planet. And I think that's sort of been true for what has come up in the past week with that Scorpio new moon that we are still working with, very, very much so. It was something we couldn't ignore. It might have come up kind of quickly. Uranus in Taurus is providing us with some innovative strategies. This is probably something old. This is probably something from the past. We are in this really interesting space right now. That the times are really changing. There's elements from the past and there's elements from the future. So we have this Scorpio new moon, okay? But now I'm going to add something else to the chart, and it's actually very current. So all of that sort of was trying to say something about last week, but now I'm actually talking about this weekend exactly. So let's look at this Mercury. I wish that was a little more exact no. Okay, there's Mercury at 24 degrees, Saturn at 25 degrees of Pisces, and Jupiter at 24 degrees of Cancer, all water signs. So here is our water grand trine. And we've been working with these water grand trines since mid-October, late October, several weeks now. And it continues through about mid-December that we have this process unfolding. So next up, Jupiter or Venus rather will move through the configuration. And then once Mercury is direct, Mercury will move through again. So this has come in waves. The sun moved through the configuration, Mars moved through the trine. And so this grand water trine has been sort of giving us some, it signifies, I should say, that we have some sort of emotional strength and ability right now, sort of strong emotional fluency or uh, literacy. We can really work with what's coming up right now so well because of the emotional strength that this grand water trine is providing. Like, I don't even know, I don't know which one comes first. I don't know how to explain which one comes first. I kind of feel like it's putting the cart before the horse to say, oh, there's this Scorpio new moon, and we have this grand water trine that's making all that uh, discovery more possible. I think it's better to say we have all this emotional strength and ability right now and fluency, and for that reason, we are more able to go back and experience this Scorpio new moon and go deep about something and look at it and heal it and do it a little bit differently and innovate and close it out in some kind of way so that we have greater peace as we move into the future. You know, deep, intense work in the chart often has that kind of signature to it. Like leaving it in a peaceful place is a phrase that comes to mind. It's like we're trying to leave it in a more peaceful place. And sometimes we have to work with things that are difficult or hard to work with, but we can do that. And then we can sort of form a little bit of a new narrative, especially with Mercury being involved. That is sort of the words and the ideas and the understanding coming in a different way, maybe the conversations. I wonder if anyone felt that it was a little bit of a challenging week last week, um, but that you were able to work with it in a way that ultimately is feeling helpful. And honestly, I think as I'm saying this, we're still in the middle of this process. We really are. We are very much still under the light of that new moon. And this trine is exact at the time of this chart, which is on Sunday. So all weekend, we have the emotional fluency and strength and ability of this grand water trine coming in to support us. And I like Mercury being involved with it because, first of all, this Mercury is carrying the energy from that new moon and immediately going back into a grand water trine to communicate about it with Saturn and Jupiter, which are moving us, fast into the future, as much as they're both retrograde. There's just so much back and forth right now. There really is. There really, really is. There's like this forward energy and this backward energy. I think it really feels like the end of the year. And as a matter of fact, I feel like people are talking about how it's the end of the year more than usual, considering we still have 6 weeks left of the year. Like, I feel like everywhere I go, someone's like, well, here at the end of the year, I'm reflecting on it. And it's like, well, I mean, I get it. We are definitely in that last chapter, and I'm saying that too, but I think it feels that way now. I think we're really in this very interesting space. And, there is a lot of future coming in as well. I have to put one more thing on the chart. I'm sorry, it's getting a little bit confusing and challenging to read. I must use a bright color, a bright, bright green for this final one so that you have any chance of seeing it. Because I'm circling this sun right here. Sun in Sagittarius. Yay, sun in Sagittarius. I do enjoy Sagittarius season. I do enjoy Scorpio season as well for very different reasons. They're very, very different It's amazing how different the sun signs are from the ones that are right next to them. They're very different. We're always switching the energies when we're moving between sun signs. If you're Leo rising, you really feel that if you're ruled by that sun. Anyway, okay, we also have the sun and Pluto because the sun is moving into Sagittarius on Friday night, tonight, as I'm recording this video, and will come into this sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. And I think that this is really worth pointing out because this is holding a very strong signature of the future. So, as much as we have all this emotional energy helping us to work with something from the past, helping us to close it out, helping us to do it differently, maybe heal a little bit, there's also this real note of the future. It's on the horizon very, very clearly where we're going. As much as Neptune and Uranus have both moved back to old signs, Pluto is holding firm in the new. Pluto is staying in Aquarius, doing its thing. Um, so I think that the sun shining on that, the sun sort of illuminating that Pluto and Aquarius signature is helpful this weekend too, because it's like, as much as there's all this going back, we are not losing the sight of the fact that we're stepping into the new as well. All of that sort of true all at once. Yeah, it's new ground here. And I think the sun in Sagittarius bringing in a little bit of optimism, an ability to see a broader horizon, and an ability to sort of expand, see different possibilities is so great. I think that's really, really helpful. And, you know, this Aquarius energy with Pluto and Aquarius, it's a little bit more detached. And I think sometimes that can be helpful too. Yeah, we're really in this very end of year vibe. So, you know, take it a little easy because this is sort of a lot all at once. I am looking over my chat really quickly, and it is so wonderful to see all of you here. I am in a bit of a hurry today, so I might not hang on as long as I usually do, but I definitely want to say hello and just take a quick look through the chat here. Hi to Bebo, nice to see you. I also just want to thank everyone for watching the horoscopes. Check those out by your rising sign. I'm in the middle of working on the December-January reports now, but don't forget to look at November. I mean, we are in November, and November is an amazing month astrologically, so I really recommend going back to November as well, especially because I'm still working on December and January, and only about half of them are out, but I put them up as I go. Oh, so nice to see everyone. Yeah, if you have a lot of planets around these points at early degrees or late degrees, especially really anywhere, but especially of water signs, and then the early fire signs or early Aquarius, these could really be activated right now, especially right around here, you know, late degrees of Scorpio, early Sagittarius. You could have a lot happening, a lot going on, a lot that you're working through. But I like this. I think this is a very auspicious time astrologically. Like we're doing things differently. And I think it's great. So it's been wonderful to see you. I hope you have a great weekend. I will be back on Monday. Thank you so much.